Hello everybody and welcome back to the TripleJump podcast. It's a video game podcast. My name is Ben.
My name is Peter.
And my name is Ashton.
What are you doing watching this? SMTJ Live is happening right now.
Stop.
At the second of release.
Yes.
So thank you in advance for tuning in / watching in the past tense or in the future SMTJ Live. We had a great time or are having a good time doing it.
What if we didn't? You've said that now. And what if someone breaks in and stabs us all to death?
I'm willing it into existence that no one will stab us all to death.
Okay.
We'll have had a great time.
Right,
It's going to be really ironic if we'll get stabbed to death.
Oh my God, imagine if James, this is the moment that we're on like our fourth James Jenkins and this is the homicidal one. What's the bloody chances of that? No, we will actually be doing or have done SMTJ Live, which we have been working very hard on. We hope you enjoyed it. It'll all be going on the VODs channel afterwards, so you can see a selection of main menu and live rules boss, and there's some drunk lore. There's a Barbara Bonkoff. You get to see the debut trailer of our game, and you can wishlist it right now / if you're watching later.
In like an hour.
In an hour, you'll be able to wishlist it by going to triplej.mup / video game. That's right, we're making a video game.
We love triplej.mup in this house.
We do.
We do.
It's just easier than saying steam.store / ID, whatever the hell.
Yeah.
So go there, wishlist the game. Coming next year. It's real. We've got a Steam page and everything. And we hope you enjoyed the show. Very, very exciting.
Yeah.
How you guys doing? You all right?
A bit cold.
Yeah.
So
It's been
cold.
snowing this week, which is very exciting. Well, it snowed on one day and then it just froze all the snow on the next day, which is less exciting.
And it was only a little sort of
smattering.
like icing sugar on a Christmas cake. That's
Yeah.
what it was like.
Exactly.
A dusting.
I'm a bit in the Christmas spirit at the moment now. I'm feeling Christmassy.
Yeah, all the
Starting
stuff on
to feel
Netflix, is that changing?
I
Is that
have
helping?
been watching all of the Christmas.
You watched the one with
rom-com.
Hot Frosty?
Yes, I
You
watched Hot Frosty the other
Okay,
day.
cool. How was
I played Disney Dreamlight Valley and watched Hot Frosty. It was bad, but great. Loved every second of it.
Good.
Right.
It was goofy but it was great. And the ramifications of that movie are astronomical.
Really?
You wouldn't even believe. For the Netflix cinematic Christmas universe,
Are they connected?
you wouldn't even believe they're
The
all
NCCU.
connected.
Seriously?
They're all connected.
What?
They mention like the princess of another like movie.
Oh my God.
At one point, she's watching Lindsay Lohan's Christmas movie from last year, and it's the girl who's the lead in this movie. She's played by the woman who played Gretchen Wieners in Mean Girls, and obviously Lindsay Lohan was also in Mean Girls.
Right.
And she goes, that girl looks like a girl I went to school with.
Oh my God. So it's in the Mean
The
Girls
ramifications
universe as well.
are astronomical.
This is incredible.
That's
I kind of
crazy.
want to start watching them now.
Yeah. And also the most recent one that came out, which was called like Merry Gentlemen or something, which I have also watched
Merry
already.
Gentlemen.
I think they also reference the news article was written by one of the other like princesses.
Oh.
That's incredible.
It is mad. I
So
love
cool. Well, unfortunately, this is not our Hot Frosty podcast. This is our video game podcast. And each and every week, we're sponsored by a very real video game adjacent sponsor that helps us keep the single bulb on in this room. And Peter's got an ad read. Oh, Dead Island 2 the Spider.
He's
Bit
probably
cold
curled
for
up
him,
somewhere
isn't he?
warm. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in
Yeah.
his nest.
Yeah.
You got an ad
Probably
read
is.
for us there, Peter?
I have. You know the developer and publisher GSC Game World?
Yes.
Yeah? No.
Catchy.
Well, just so you know, they make the Stalker video games.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So they've been busy this week because obviously they've got a new game that's coming out. It's all very exciting.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about nuclear stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they've also decided to do a public service as part of kind of cross promotion for Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl. They are, like I'm sure all of us are, quite worried about the level of sort of brain rot that's out there on the internet right now.
Skibbity.
The skibbities, the memes that make you feel unwell when you hear people reference them. And what they think is that actually what we really need is another nuclear disaster to kind of just have a bit of a cull of humanity.
Right.
Thin us out a bit.
Sure.
So they're really trying to promote a kind of a second event that will, you know, get rid of some of this brain rot.
Okay.
Based on some of the terrible memes that are plaguing the internet right now.
Yeah.
Coming now as part of their campaign, Hawker Tour, start the Chernobyl.
No.
Yeah, do.
No.
Start the Chernobyl.
Start the Chernobyl.
Hawker Tour
Yeah.
is so bad.
So the Chernobyl They want it to melt down
Chernobyl,
again.
Yeah.
Right. But would that not just affect people in the immediate area of Chernobyl?
I think they're referring to
they
it more
not
as a
suffered enough?
type of event rather than in actually at Chernobyl.
So Chernobyl rather than
start at Chernobyl. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, right.
Sounds
well. If it's focusing on
good.
a Hawk tour, I'm afraid to think that means it's going to have to happen in America. So that's
a lot of people potentially going to be caught in the
fire.
But maybe it'll be a nice kind of Fallout universe post.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, we could all go on holiday. Like you could buy like a holiday package to go and experience live in Fallout World for a week or whatever.
Although sod's law, you'd go over there and one of the people who survived and like made it to the very top of society would be Hawk Tour girl.
She's already at the top of society.
Well, I know, but
is she not like a princess? I don't know how American society works.
Yeah,
I
probably.
think she's a queen.
But what I'm saying is it would be a roll of the dice as to who survives, who makes it through to the Fallout universe, who turns into a ghoul.
The queen of
and she'd be there sitting on a throne made out of bottle caps or something, just saying, Hawk Tour, spit on that thing.
Hawk Tour their heads.
Yeah, indeed. Right. Fortunately, it's not, actually, it's not fortunate. Unfortunately, it's not real.
Okay.
And we are going to have to carry on living in a world where we have Hawk Tour.
The suffering must continue. No, unfortunately, we're not sponsored by Hawk Tour Start Chernobyl, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
But you have to kind of say Hawker Tour.
Sorry, Hawker 2.
Which is not how it goes.
What is it? It's Heart of Chernobyl, isn't it?
Yeah.
Start a Chernobyl. Yeah. We're sponsored by our very real patrons over at patreon.com/Team TripleJump. If you go there and support us, you get access to all sorts of things, asking questions on this podcast, early access to worst and weirdest games ever, exclusive access to Rules Boss and Main Menu. I imagine we'll be uploading the uncut versions of various things that were shown during SMTJ Live. And new tier award, you may have received a t-shirt in the past if you've been a patron of a certain tier. Coming right now is a brand new framed. We don't have one to show you because it's not quite ready yet.
One of the bits hasn't arrived yet.
But like you get a framed Billy thing, which is it's hard to describe without showing it.
The card hasn't been delivered yet.
It contains a wonderful custom Billy Ray Walrus guitar plectrum with his face on it.
It's really cute.
It contains a square of his actual felty fur hair
that Ben still somehow had in a drawer.
Yes. And his signature, the most important thing there. And it's a lovely little frame. Oh, he fell.
He was like, that's so many signatures I'm going to have to do.
He's fainted.
Swoon.
So that will be replacing the t-shirt at that tier. And it also applies to people who've had the t-shirt in the past. So if you sign back up at that tier or you're at that tier already, you will be able to claim one of those. You just need to message us and we will send one out to you as soon as they are prepared and ready to ship. So patreon.com/Team TripleJump. Very, very exciting. Thank you to all our patrons. We love you very much. TripleJumpShop.com if you want to get some amazing merchandise. We're all wearing some today because it's cold as hell.
Yeah.
Freezing.
You're wearing 2 jumpers today.
I am wearing 2 jumpers today.
One of them's not merch though.
No, one's just a regular jumper.
Yeah.
But it could be if she went to TripleJumpShop.com. Go there now. Thank you very much. And once again, patreon.com/Team TripleJump. A couple of things happening this week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Worst MTJ, which you've already mentioned. But it is also a Worst Games Ever week. And you boys played The Plan.
The Plan, but the E is a 3.
in it.
The 3 plan.
Was it good?
No.
Good.
It's a bad one. It's a really bad one. We hope you enjoyed that. That's the second consecutive week that you've had a Worst Games Ever because of the slight delay. We will now be going back to fortnightly though, as is tradition. Should we start with question 1, please?
I think we bloomin' should.
We bloomin' will. It's from Connor Bennett, who says, well, gang, it's happening again. Sony are in talks to buy Kadokawa, the parent company of, among many anime studios, FromSoft. It's bad, isn't it? But would it mean finally a PS5 patch? Oh, no, who am I kidding? A PS5 port of Bloodborne? Question mark? No.
It won't.
No.
Anyway, it's time for What We Playin'. No, sadly not. So we did actually briefly cover this in this week's news, but you know, it's important to bring these stories along to the podcast for a bigger discussion. Not a big discussion,
just a bigger one than
different
before.
section.
Large discussion.
Yes, and Ashton, we want to hear
hefty
your
chat.
thoughts as well. A hefty chat. So Kadokawa, yes, parent company of FromSoft, but also lots of anime
they own
studios.
Crunchyroll.
They own Crunchyroll.
Sony own Crunchyroll.
Do they? I thought Kadokawa own Crunchyroll.
Sony have anime properties that... Kadokawa have anime properties that Sony would be interested in because they own Crunchyroll and Funimation. They own 2 big anime streaming services.
Sony own both of them?
I think so, yeah. It's kind of messed up, isn't it?
Yeah. But also some smaller game studios as well. So we can see why PlayStation owners might at face value be excited by this news, because if FromSoft comes under the Sony banner or under the PlayStation banner, then perhaps that's something they're going to want to really make the most out of. And, you know, we could have a Bloodborne 2 even. Never mind your PS5 version.
And 4.
Yes. Sadly.
And a PlayStation 5 remaster, and also a PlayStation 5 remaster from 2 years ago.
And then the remake of the remaster.
And then a remake of the remaster.
Yeah, that would be really good. Unfortunately...
it's not real.
It is real, but is that likely to happen? Well, probably not. Partly because Sony already have a 14% stake in From Software, don't they? Yeah. Not in Kadokawa, but in From Software specifically. So, and word on the street is that FromSoft have been potentially game to do a Bloodborne 2, maybe, but there are other things preventing them from doing so. And seemingly that is that Sony themselves are not going to, haven't greenlit it. I don't think they've explicitly stated Sony won't let us do it, but that appears to be, you know, reading between the lines what is happening. So if Sony have already had a stake in this, and they could have apparently have said, yes, do it at any time up till now, doesn't necessarily mean it's any more likely to happen just because they suddenly own all of From Software. You know, it's owning a large portion of From Software probably has not been preventing them from commissioning a sequel. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is, it might even be just sort of almost incidental that PlayStation would gain a few studios under their banner. It might be that Sony is looking at this deal far more through an anime lens, for example. They might be thinking, we want to add to our Crunchyroll empire, and so we're going to buy Kadokawa. And, I suppose if we did that, we would also end up owning From Software, and PlayStation could look after that, I suppose. But we're not going to worry about that. We're not going to make them start doing new and exciting things. So likely all that would happen from this is there would be restructuring and layoffs at From Software, which would be terrible news.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to know if this would be a bad thing or not, because realistically, unless it happens, there's no way of knowing how things will play out. I do think that I struggle now when it comes to acquisitions and buying companies, because I view everything through the lens of, well, at least it's not Activision being bought. So every time there's like a studio being bought, my brain goes, well, it's not as bad as Xbox buying Activision. So even if, like, say, a few years ago, this was like, this might be a bad thing, this is probably a bad thing. I'm like, well, it's not that.
It won't be as bad.
Sliding scales of bad.
And I mean, there may be layoffs, but obviously this isn't going to be as big of a merger and a big of a situation as Xbox and Activision. The reason that encountered so many people getting their jobs laid off was because they suddenly had double the amount of staff doing the same thing, because you suddenly have 2 HR departments on 2 massive companies, so you don't need those 2 departments anymore. So it might not be as bad as that, but like you say, there might be layoffs at FromSoft, but realistically, like, it's not like they're just buying the studio, they're buying the parent company. So if anything, there would probably be layoffs at Kadokawa rather than at FromSoft, given that they're technically buying Kadokawa and FromSoft is still technically its own company. But we don't know. Who knows what will happen? Like, I don't think that they're doing this specifically for FromSoft. I mean, like we said, there's other companies under there's the Danganronpa gang that are under there as well.
Spike Chunsoft.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. And I think that this is maybe just not coincidence, but a happy accident per se, in terms of Sony are clearly expanding into the anime market. They know how much money that makes. Crunchyroll must make them millions and millions and millions of dollars every year. So it doesn't surprise me that they're looking to buy more anime studios, and Kadokawa just happens to be the most convenient way of buying a bunch of anime studios, and also just happens to own a bunch of game studios as well. I feel like maybe PlayStation are looking to expand their first-party roster. We've talked a lot and criticized them a lot for not having that many first-party games on the horizon, and not really having like a huge amount under their remit at the moment in terms of new games, apart from their many teased live service. I mean, they've said last week they're going to release one single-player first-party game every year for the next however long, which is great. Lovely news for us, but that's one single player game a year. How many more other bits and pieces will we get from them? So maybe if they're buying more studios and they're looking to put more first party games under their umbrella, then maybe we will see some more games coming out from FromSoft. I mean, it would be lovely to do a PS5 port of Bloodborne or Bloodborne 2, I'm sure, for those of you who like them. But for the most part, I think it would just be good for Sony to have more first-party studios to actually be making games that they can talk about. Because right now, there's not any that we know about apart from Marvel's Wolverine and Ghosts of Yotai that are coming out specifically with the PlayStation 5 in mind, 5 Pro. They need more games because otherwise, how are they going to sell these new consoles if there's no new games coming out? So I think it would be a good thing to have some more Sony games coming. However, I don't want anything bad to happen to anyone who works at any of these companies. So I would like to make sure that that is not going to happen. And I feel like there needs to be something put in place in some kind of legislation, which means that just because you buy a big studio doesn't mean you can sack half the workforce and just leave a bunch of people without jobs.
I think normally they do say they're not going to do that, but then they do it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Xbox, it only took them like 2 months. But like I say, that Activision Blizzard acquisition is just such a unique experience. And I don't think we can always hold acquisitions up to that same standard because like that was just absolutely insane situation.
Yeah. I don't like it. I don't want it. I don't think it's necessary. I think you guys have made the point very well that this is Sony buying Kadokawa. This is not PlayStation buying From Software. The real telling thing will be is if this goes through, and I think they'd be fools not to want to have From Software be a first-party studio. However, I don't think they'd be as interested in Spike Chunsoft or the other studio that I can't remember the name of that's under Kadokawa. And it'd be very telling if they either just close it, which I think would be a terrible move, and I don't think they would do that, or see if someone else wants to buy those studios or potentially offer those studios independence and let them go about their own business. Because that's not necessarily... I mean, I don't know what a PlayStation-owned Spike Chunsoft could possibly bring to the party. I know people love Danganronpa, but I don't know.
But Sony own and PlayStation own studios that aren't necessarily first-party studios. It's true.
I just think it would potentially be overhead that they wouldn't necessarily want in this deal, especially if, as we're all assuming, it's really the anime and entertainment properties that they're most interested in, and especially if they bring on these anime studios, they've got Funimation. From Software, with their wealth of IP that itself is inspired by anime and manga and Berserk and all that kind of stuff, that would also lend itself very nicely to adaptations that Sony would then be able to profit off wholesale. So I do think From Software would be a nice thing for Sony to have, but it's, as you guys have said, it's clearly not the focus, I don't believe anyway. And when we first spoke about this on the news, it was just rumored that this was happening, but Kadokawa have since confirmed that they have had a quote-unquote letter of intent from Sony. Hello?
Sorry about that.
From Sony Corp. And
is that the sound of the letter of intent?
Yeah.
It's so heavy. It's it's a thick letter. So it certainly seems to be, proceedings are happening, and I wonder if it's a case of here's enough money that you literally cannot say no. I don't know much about Kadokawa or who owns them or who runs them or what's going on there. But as for Bloodborne 2, again, you guys have hit the nail on the head, where if they wanted to make Bloodborne 2 happen or even a remaster of Bloodborne, that is well within their rights and ability to make happen, and they have not done it. You don't need to buy the parent company to make Bloodborne 2.
Sony are... I know it's first party versus not first party, but Sony are putting out Last of Us's and Horizons left, right, and center, which people are saying, "Do we need this? Why are you doing this?" but then they're holding back on a Bloodborne, even just a remaster or a remake of
Bloodborne on
of
PC would do so well.
Yeah.
They have been begging. It's
or
like
PS5 version.
Yeah, it's like the From Software game that's critically acclaimed that has never been on any other platform. Demon's Souls, people take it or leave it, as the first outing, and it's a bit ropey in places. Remake's great though, obviously, but Bloodborne is one that has eluded so many millions and millions of fans, and porting it to PC just feels like such a slam dunk.
And I'm not saying, what I want Sony to... I mean, again, it's not Sony's... It wouldn't be directly from Sony, but I'm not saying, Sony need to be encouraging more remasters and remakes and ports. That's what we want from Sony, a lot more of that. But the point is, they seem to think that people want more versions of The Last of Us, and yet they're apparently holding back on FromSoft from being able to go and make something that people are actually clamoring for.
I wonder if they think that those games have more general appeal than a Bloodborne Souls-like. Because
possibly.
people hear Souls-like or, the like, and they think, it's not for me. Whereas you hear action RPG or open world adventure and people were like, oh yeah, I'll give that a go.
Yeah,
so maybe
possibly.
that they think that Bloodborne just won't do as well as because people do clamour for it, but whether it's as many people as we think, but just because it's
possibly
very
just
loud.
allowed.
It could be a
Bloodborne
vocal
fan base,
minority.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying don't have, it seems like everyone wants it, but
It seems it does seem like something that I think would do really well, and now they can slap a big sticker on it and say from the creators of Elden Ring and stuff like that, and people go, oh, Elden Ring, I played that, I like that, I'll give this a try. I mean, I'd like to be wrong because I love Bloodborne. It's one of my favorite games, and I would like it to be treated with the respect it deserves, either through a sequel or just make it run at 60 frames, please. That would be really nice. A PS5 native version would be lovely with a trophy list that people can earn again. Would be fantastic. But being realistic, it's crazy that we've reached the point where Sony are in talks to potentially own From Software, and we're still sitting here thinking, nah, they don't care. They don't care about Bloodborne. That's the point we've gotten ourselves into. I'd love to see it, but realistically, we're approaching the point where, maybe in the next 5 years, the servers for the original Bloodborne could be turned off because it'll be that old. It's 10 years old next year. I think it was released in late 2015, I believe.
not to get you excited, but maybe a 10-year anniversary.
Could be a 10-year. Let's get our hopes up again.
Get your hopes up.
But we're reaching the 10th year of this game, and while it still has an active community that loves to play, we've seen time and time again that is not enough to save games online functionality. And with a publisher as ambivalent about Bloodborne as PlayStation is, I could see that game having its servers turned off before any kind of preservation attempts are made to bring it forward to the latest gen. And I sincerely hope that I am wrong, but again, they made us think this way.
Yeah, it's their fault.
It's their fault because they don't show it any love at all. I don't want this purchase to go through. I think ultimately again, consolidation isn't necessarily a good thing. I can see their reasoning for doing it. And one thing we actually talked about in the news is the fact that just last week, Big Philly Spence opened his big mouth and was talking all about how they'd like to expand to into various Asian companies as well and secure a foothold, and how the timing might be a little conspicuous that PlayStation is tightening their grip around something they already have an investment in at the same time. So could be some connection there. Might not. Who knows? It's time to move on to something. What is this? Ashton, what is this?
Picture this. The snow is falling. I'm looking out my window. And just in the distance, just as I see it written in the snow that's falling, a new segment idea. It's called What We Playin.
Don't like it. It's What We Playin time. Time to talk about the games, what we have been playing. Peter Austin, what have you been playing?
All right. Hey, yeah. Okay.
What have you been playing, please?
At the tail end of the weekend, I actually went back into Astro Bot. I sometimes want to say Astro Boy. The little anime flying child.
That
little guy who also probably saves the world quite a lot, I think.
Love that movie?
Yeah. The Astro Boy movie.
Yeah, they did make a movie. Anyway, jump back into that. I saw someone post their run through the Super Master level or whatever it was called at the very end. And I was like, oh yeah, that was a great game. And has there been enough time now to justify me going back and playing it all again? I'm not playing it all again. I've dipped in and just ran through various levels for fun, partly just to listen to the music, not going to lie. I had such a nice time.
I'm a big tree, please water me.
Indeed. Yes.
I'm up on my big old leaves.
So I did play some Astro. And then through the week, I've not played that much because, I mean, as we all know, video games are actually for children. Not for big grown-up boys like me.
Adults playing games.
So instead, I've been doing adult grown-up things. I've been binge watching He-Man on Netflix. So
that's a grown-up.
No games for me.
This guy's an adult.
Yeah. However, I have found a bit of time on a couple of evenings this week because I'm in
you
training.
Watched the Jake Paul fight?
I watched the Jake Paul fight. I'm in training because December is coming up, and this is the year where I'm going to try and do the full, non-caveated run through Spyro the Dragon without breathing fire. There was one bit that I couldn't do live on the internet last time I tried, even though I had footage of me doing it in practice. I'm practicing now, and I think I'm okay. I think I'm going to be able to do it all in one go.
Okay.
Wow.
So sometime in December, I'll do a live stream for like 6 hours, and I will play through Spyro to the end without breathing fire.
Nice.
Without having to cheat my way through one doorway, which was the only thing that ruined it for me. I'm excited.
You can do it. We believe in you.
Yeah.
I was absolutely baffled by why you were punching the air. Like
I'm
what
in training.
boxing game has he been
He's
playing?
been playing Wii Sports.
I see.
Yeah. You gotta
nunchuck.
stay trained. I'm thinking about Spyro, and I'm just going on cold runs upstairs like Rocky did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more like a dance.
It was a bit
like a Donald
dancey.
Trump dance or something.
It looked like the dance from what's it called?
Yeah,
the Lethal Company.
Lethal Company.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing this week. Ashton, what have you been playing?
I played a few things this week actually because I'm not an adult.
Oh,
child.
Got a child over here.
I finished Call of Duty Black Ops 6 campaign.
Yes.
What a good campaign.
Great fun, isn't it?
What a fun time. I really enjoyed it. I got to the level that Ben kept mentioning. And that it was great.
It's really good.
It was really good.
Yeah.
And I found it very interesting, and I enjoyed the gameplay of it. I thought they've done a really good job, and if anything, I wished it was a bit longer.
Yeah.
Because now it's been uninstalled from my PlayStation because that's all I wanted to do.
And it takes up 12,000 gigabytes.
Yes, I uninstalled it, and my boyfriend went, "Gosh, you got a lot of room on your PlayStation." I was like, "Yes, I know."
Your PS5 let out a
It's gone.
sigh of relief.
Yeah.
It's always the way with Call of Duty campaigns is you just wish they were longer.
Yeah,
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. It's a very good campaign, and it's just a lot of fun.
I think it's on my list, you know.
You think?
I think it's on my list.
Your
this
top
year.
5.
I think it
Wow.
might
He's making a list. He's checking
Check
it twice.
Yeah.
I've also
gonna
played
find
some
out.
more Disney Dreamlight Valley. As mentioned, I was watching Hot Frosty and playing Disney Dreamlight Valley. Still love that game. It's great. I've played some Borderlands 3. My Ben and Kieran have been playing Borderlands 3 on and off for the last year, just trying to get through the main campaign. We finally did
It's
it.
finally over.
This girl is on fire.
Congratulations.
Kieran has never played it before, but
Yeah.
we've all played it. So we were getting to the end, and we were like, Kieran, come watch the end. And he was just like,
This girl is
what
on
is this?
fire.
It was as good that time as it was the
It's
first time.
just as awful as I remember it being.
Yeah.
And we definitely hit a bit of a wall towards the end. We were like, how much more of this game can there possibly be?
We left behind a lot of side quests.
We did.
Like, I'm very much a person who's like, we have to do all the side quests. You're missing out on the experience. But it got to the end, we were like, should we just do the final mission and just get it done?
Let's just do it. Let's just be free
Yeah.
of this
Yeah.
heck.
Whenever licensed music is used in games like that, I always wonder how long does their license last? Like, will it just be in that game indefinitely, and that's fine? They've got an agreement where it's in this product for the rest of time, or I mean, and even if that's true, if they were to ever do any kind of re-release or
Yeah.
That's
remaster,
a Ring of Fire
would they
instead.
have to
And it
change the song?
Burns.
Because I'm sure that happened with the game not so long ago. I think they did a remake or a remaster, and they no longer had the license to one of the songs in it, which was a shame. But yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad we finished that game. It's fun to play, but it's
We had so many issues with the shift servers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because 2 of us were playing on PlayStation and 2 were playing on Xbox. And when the PlayStation connected to the Xbox, the amount of latency made it unplayable. But the other way around was fine. But connecting to each other was really hard as well because we were using Randy Pitchford's proprietary
and it would be like,
bloody servers.
He's not online. And we're like, yes, we are.
He is.
Or they'd be like, your lobby's full. And we're like, there's nobody in my lobby.
It's not full.
Yeah.
Good
So
old Randy.
we had lots of issues. Like every single time we tried to play it together, we'd spend at least half an hour, 40 minutes faffing about.
Yeah.
I've also played some more Super Mario Party.
Have you won
yet?
any games?
Nope.
Loser!
No.
Nope, I haven't won any games. Still time. I'm going to make everyone play it for the rest of time until I win a game.
Can't wait.
So get ready.
That's so unfortunate because it is very luck based.
Yeah, and I'm so unlucky. We played it and my Ben had like 8 stars by the end
It
of
wasn't
it.
even close.
It wasn't even
I
close.
actively threw the game.
Yeah.
Just like I did when we streamed it. And you still didn't win.
No, I didn't. It's really sad. And then the last thing I've been playing, I've played about a few hours last night because I've been kind of putting it off getting into it because I've been like a bit sleepy or just feeling like I need to like spend some time starting the game. I booted up Ghost of Tsushima last night. And I am looking forward to playing more of that game. I feel like I need to give it more time. Maybe I didn't go into it with the right like frame of mind last night, and I did enjoy it, but I did find myself getting distracted. But I do feel like maybe I just need to not grin and bear it, but just kind of push through until like I find the thing that people love about it. Because I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And I'm enjoying kind of roaming around and like seeing what everyone's doing and stuff. I just haven't got to the point yet where I'm super able to like do everything. I'm kind of doing my first set of tails at the beginning of the game now, so I'm enjoying it though. I do think it's lovely, and like I say, it just looks gorgeous, so I'm excited to play more. I picked the horse that was a special deluxe edition horse.
Ooh.
And I called it Nobu.
Nobu.
And I was like, this is my horse, he's cute.
Why
What's
Nobu?
Nobu?
Well, you get given 3 names.
Oh yeah, because he says it, doesn't
It's
he?
like
He's got
Nobu,
voice
Sora,
line.
or another name. And I was like, Sora's from Kingdom Hearts. And then I was like, and Nobu's a restaurant. So I think, yeah. It's a really, really posh restaurant in LA. It's Nobu.
Wow.
Nobu.
But I thought that was a nice name for my horse. He's got blue saddle on him.
Nice.
And he's lovely.
He's lovely. Lovely temperament.
Yeah.
You don't want to call him Sora.
No.
Then, suddenly they'll be doing
Mickey Mouse
sequels
is
called
there.
2.8 Final Mix.
Yeah.
Prequel
God,
edition.
Yeah.
I don't want
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And your boyfriend will have to explain it all to you.
Exactly, he would. Yeah, that's so true. That's all I've played this week.
Excellent. I played a few things. I finished It Takes Two. Brilliant game. So good. So clever. So inventive. Made it to the end.
Charming.
Goes
Charming.
on for so long.
Does go? Yeah, you do forget that there are so many. sections
Yeah,
to it.
when we streamed it, I was like, okay, I am enjoying every individual thing that we do here, but there's a lot of
Their
enjoyment
marriage was
to be had
so
here.
broken.
Yeah.
They had to do all of that. Yeah, love it. I'm crossing my fingers that at the Game Awards we maybe hear from Joseph Fares.
Oh, yeah.
Hope he
About
swears.
his next, yes. Can we swear? Flip the Oscars, flip the Oscars. And his brother, I hope his brother's in the next game as well, because I always enjoy Fares as a name. I think it's so. I think it was bold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be called Fares, like Shakira is one of my favorite things. I played some more zombies, and they added a new guided mode to the zombies now to help you through the story stuff in each
Good,
of the
because
maps.
it was absolutely baffling. I was like,
yeah.
have I done it?
They
Have I
followed the
finished what
mold
I'm
that they always
supposed to
have,
do?
where you literally need to follow a guide online because it doesn't tell
Yeah.
you. You need to know all the secrets yourself. Now it gives you objective markers, tells you exactly what you need to do, and it sets round caps. So whatever the next objective is, say the round cap for it is 5, which doesn't mean if you get to round 5 you fail. It means that if you finish round 5 will start again,
Right.
and you just stay on round 5 until you get to the next objective, which is great. But when I tried to do it for the Terminus map, it was really, really hard because we were trying to rush our way through it, and there's like a giant boss at the end, and it is brutally difficult. And we were going in there with we didn't have the right perks, we didn't have good weapons because we were spending all our money on opening doors, because at that point I think we didn't realize that if you didn't finish a round, by the time that it wanted you to, it would just restart. So we were like, oh God, we need to quickly finish it before it gets to the round cap. And so we went into the final encounter like completely underpowered and then got our asses kicked, and it was really annoying. Still great though. I've started playing through Halo Reach in co-op.
Oh yeah, I saw you post a clip of that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's Halo Reach.
It's really fun.
I did wonder what that clip was.
I was in a forklift and it went sideways and then just kept going along the floor. I love that you can drive the forklifts in that game.
Yeah.
That's the most fun bit.
I think you mean
little lorries
bulldozer.
and things. And
It's a bulldozer.
No, it's a forklift.
I think that was a forklift.
No, I know
that
it
one.
was, but in Resident Evil 0, the guide said it was a bulldozer.
Oh, yeah.
And it was actually a
Yeah,
forklift.
you're right.
Oh,
And then it said, raise the forks, or raise the, it contradicted
it
itself.
was a good guide that we were following.
It was
on
a really
stream.
good guide.
But I'm actually near the end of that now, and that's been really fun. And talking about how fun it is to play Black Ops, every game, and I said this when we played Borderlands as well, every game that's a shooter that's first person now, I'm instinctively trying to sprint sideways and backwards.
Yeah.
So as much as we mocked them, as much as I took the Michael out of Activision when they did the Black Ops Direct as part of the Xbox showcase a while back, and all they talked about was, you can now sprint backwards? And I was like, really, a whole thing to sprint? It is... I am
good.
missing it as a feature in other shooters. Like the omnidirectional sprinting, I think, really does make the game feel that much more fun and fast to play. And I'm missing it in Halo Reach. I missed it in Borderlands as well. I like diving and sprinting in any direction I want as well. It's really fun.
What I miss in Halo Reach and Borderlands is that fish don't swim out of the way when you get close, like they do in Call of Duty.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Was it Black Ops 1? Fish swim out of the way when you get close to them. And then there's a side-by-side of Super Mario 64 where the fish swim out of the way when Mario gets close.
There was it Ghosts as well. They had a whole E3 presentation about the dog and how realistic the dog was.
Yeah,
that was
they had like a rotating model of the dog.
Yeah,
and stuff.
they spent a lot of time on the dog. And I was like, okay.
All right, thanks.
Someone's
That's
like,
cool.
I'm really proud of the dog.
They
Please,
did.
let's
No,
talk
don't
about
get it
the dog.
wrong. Don't get it wrong. Don't get me wrong. Like, they made a great dog, but it's just one of those. When you release a game, it's like FIFA. When you release a game every year, and they're like, now we've got fluid touch motion, and it's like, what are you on about?
Look at the ball we've picked.
And you know what? I couldn't pick a ball like that. They did. They've got
build a dog.
talented artists that build
I
dogs.
couldn't build a dog.
I couldn't build that dog, but they talk about very minor things, but the sprinting feels like a real significant thing. And if it's not in the next Call of Duty, they're missing a trick.
It's got to be.
Because it's really
Can't
good.
take it away.
fun.
It's very, very good. I played some Towers of Agaspa, which I was given an early access code for. So thank you very much. # not an ad, but also # slightly an ad per ASA guidelines. Streamed it. I was playing it like literally hour 1 of the early access being live. And it's okay. It's very slow to start. It gives you objectives like build your first tool and things like that. And it says you need to get these resources from certain things, but it really doesn't signpost you very clearly.
My chat was like, made a joke about finding Thatch. And
Oh
I was
my
like,
God.
what is everyone talking about right now? And they were saying that you spent ages trying to find it.
It was just invisible. Like the plants that you're meant to be picking blend in with the floor. They've got a very subtle like green icon above them, but it doesn't tell you which plants will give you certain things. Sometimes it's an RNG thing where you don't know if you're going to get what you need from it. And when you build a mega plant, which sprouts out loads of like fauna and plant life around it, it makes the existing stuff that you can actually interact with completely invisible. Like it's hard to see anyway in the desolate, dusty landscape. But when you've got loads of plants around it that are just visual things and don't actually do anything, it makes it really hard to spot stuff. So I was planting bushes and having to wait 10 in-game minutes for them to grow so I could get thatch, so I could build my first tool. And I tell you what, it was not for me. I wish them all the best. They've got a proper roadmap for their early access. They're going to be adding loads of features and improving as things go by. But I think the start was so glacially slow for me and not guided enough that I do not intend to play it again. It's not for me. But people do like their survival crafting kind of games, and I'm sure it will find a niche of passionate players. And I wish you all the best. Played a bit of Minecraft. Now that's a crafting survival game that I do understand. It's squares.
It's
What's
squares.
hard about
you can
that?
Build anything you can imagine.
As long as it's made
of
I
cubes.
am Steve, And the final thing I played is the first few hours of Dragon Age: The Veilguard.
I was going to ask you about that.
I'm enjoying it. I built a big Barbie Piss, and she's going around smashing things with a giant axe. The voice acting, I think, is a bit ropey in places. It's not very consistent. There's one character in particular who just talks completely flatly the whole way through, and I Googled it, and then loads of Reddit posts popped up and said, anyone else think that her voice acting's really strange? Because she just sounds uninterested and talks like this all the time.
The one who played Ava in the Resident Evil remake. Not Ava? Am I talking about
Ada.
Yes.
Ada.
Yeah, a little bit. Where her voice acting is weirdly flat.
Notoriously, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. And that's kind of taking me out of the experience as well. I'm also taking great glee in that I can identify in the game where like little wrong-uns will be getting cross because it's woke.
Yeah.
Because the entire opening, like all I've played so far, I'm just surrounded by strong female characters, and there aren't any male characters
Your
yet.
woke
And
senses are
the whole way through, I'm like, this is going to be making people really cross. that there's no boys yet. But I like it. I like the hub area. I'm interested in the story. I haven't got to any point where it like properly opens up into a big world, which I'm assuming it may do at some point. But all of the quests and missions I've done so far are on like beautiful corridors where it's so simple. I just make my way down the corridor. Maybe there'll be a slightly more open bit of the corridor where I can jump up and like do some parkour and slide under something, and then there's a treasure chest I can open, and then I can come back down and carry on along. It's great. The way it's structured so far is perfect for me, and I'm intrigued to play more. I'm liking it a lot so far, and don't listen to the naysayers. If you like Dragon Age and you're looking for an action RPG, I'm having a great time. Although I am playing as a fighter, the most boring class, so magic might be more fun. But yeah, there we are. That is everything that I played.
Lovely. Now it's time for question 2, which comes from Blake Thomas. Hey B, that's right, just Ben.
What?
The only one who cares about the PlayStation Portal. Until now, a Kotaku article suggests that the new testing Portal update is a game changer. It will allow, get this, streaming without a console. What does Ben think? Is Ben happy?
I'm not a PlayStation Plus premium subscriber.
Oh. Will you become one now?
No. Don't need it.
We talked about this on the news video the other day. It's interesting. It might be. I mean, my takeaway from this, as I said on the news videos, it might be a kind of a new entry point or re-entry point for people who were perhaps huge Vita heads, but aren't necessarily fans of sitting on the sofa and playing from a console onto their telly. If they really like their portable consoles or playing it in bed or something like that, then perhaps this is something that might interest them. That being said, if you're going to be a PlayStation Plus premium subscriber in order to be able to play this, you're probably the kind of person who already has a PS5. So I don't know. But it's certainly there's I think 120 games available for it, and there were at least 7 or 8 that we listed that were actually, quite big names. I'm sure there's an awful lot of them that are things that we've maybe never even heard of. But
the hits are like Miles Morales,
Ratchet and Clank,
Dave the Diver,
all PS5 games. It's
only PS5.
There's no
games.
PS4 or PS3. So even if they're slightly lesser in quality or smaller ones, they are still contemporary.
It's not just a load of stuff they've dredged up from the back catalogue. So I don't quite know who this is for, because again, I think to be someone with a Portal who is a Plus subscriber, you probably have a PS5 already. So to be able to, for them to be saying, you can now stream without a console, it's like, okay, well, I have one, thanks. I've been able to stream already. But, this maybe means that people can do slightly more interesting things going out and about with their Portal and connecting to Wi-Fi, and I don't really know. I'm not. This isn't for me, and so it's difficult for me to say exactly how I would best use this and what the ramifications are. And Ben, given that you're not even that interested yourself and you own a Portal, I don't know. Ashton, does this excite you?
I have to completely disagree with you. I think this is great.
Oh my God.
I think this is the first time I thought maybe I do buy a Portal. Because I think that this is such a smart move. I don't know why they didn't do this from the beginning.
Yeah.
Clearly it could have handled it. I don't know why they never did it. But anyway, I think this is great. I think that it's really exciting to see Sony put some effort into cloud gaming and a handheld device. It's also really nice to just see them put some effort into a thing that they made and like come back to it afterwards and be like, hey, we're still actually doing things for this little device that we made. We remembered that we made it and here's some more stuff for it. I think it's great. Admittedly, I think it's a bit strange that you can only do it if you're a PlayStation Plus premium member. However, that's a whole different situation. Maybe
all six of them will be thrilled.
Yeah, maybe it will eventually kind of come down from being just that tier and we'll see it accessible to a lot more people. I think this is fantastic if you are someone who really wants to play PlayStation games, specifically PlayStation 5 games, but don't have the money for a PlayStation 5 Pro. You just get a Portal and you cloud stream it. You get a Portal, you pay for 2 months or however long of PlayStation Plus Premium, and suddenly you've got a whole catalogue of PlayStation 5 games you can play without ever having to buy a PlayStation 5.
It's like a tiny Game Pass.
Exactly. I think it's fantastic and it makes so much sense, and it's lovely to see them putting some effort into something for once in a while. This was the first time where I thought I actually would consider buying a PlayStation Portal for cloud streaming. Admittedly, like I don't pay for PlayStation Plus Premium either. I think my boyfriend plays with maybe Extra, the slightly less tier, the middle one, if you will. But yeah, he plays for that one. So I maybe would consider going up to premium for a bit if I felt the games. I mean, most of the games on the list I've already played, so I probably won't get it anytime soon. But if there was a game coming to streaming that I really wanted to play, then I don't see why I wouldn't potentially look at investing in it. I think if I was still traveling around a lot, definitely would have, like, this would be a game changer for me. But considering I don't actually travel around that much at the moment, I don't necessarily need one. However, I do think this is great and I'm very excited to see what they're doing. And I want them to do more cloud gaming stuff and look into handhelds more. It's funny, this is coming a week after Xbox were announcing that they're working on a handheld. Yeah. They've also come out today and been Xbox and have said that like you can now cloud stream games that you own even if they're not on Game Pass.
Oh, cool.
So that's great from them. So I like the idea of streaming becoming a lot easier to do and a lot more accessible. And yeah, I think this is great. If Ben's not happy, Ashton's happy. So
is that just a rule in life?
That generally does seem to be the case.
Just in case you wanted to know.
To be clear, I don't think this is not great or not a good thing. It's not for me personally, and so it's difficult to put myself in the
that's exactly how I feel as well. I don't think it's bad. I'm not excited because it doesn't apply to me. I'm excited at the prospect though, and you're right in that this completely changes the functionality of the system. Previously it was, I mean, and it still is to an extent, a very niche item in that the use case was your partner wants to watch TV and you want to carry on playing PlayStation. You can do that through a dedicated device
in the bath
that looks great. Or yes, you can play it in the bath or in bed, or if you go on holiday and your internet connection's good enough, you can do it that way. This does make it a dedicated PlayStation Plus premium streamium machine, much like what we were pitching for Game Pass just last week on the podcast about how they might want to go about their dedicated device handheld if they do that. I watched actually a video that Push Square made that's really good about them using it. And testing it out, and it does look great. And you're right in that you do not. This now does change the use case. You don't need a PS5 anymore to access PS5 games. It's exactly the model that Xbox are pursuing with Game Pass, and it's interesting to see Sony trying this as well. I wonder if the Portal is maybe a testing ground for potentially a new dedicated device, or if they go all in on the Portal and they're just like, okay, this is like a flip hot streaming machine that you can access loads of plays, that you just need a PlayStation Plus subscription and a Portal, and you can play all this stuff without needing to connect it to a PS5, because this is just in beta at the moment. There's a good chance they will add other stuff. They'll make improvements. There was a list of caveats, wasn't there, about how it doesn't support like party systems and party chat, because the Portal itself still doesn't have, outside of remote playing to your PS5 and just streaming what's on the screen. Doesn't have its own dedicated dashboard or UI system beyond very simple settings and connect
so you can't
to
make
stuff.
like in-game purchases.
Exactly, yeah. So they don't have that functionality, but there's no reason why they can't do that. People have already hacked them, and they've got like older games running on them and things like that. But you know, it does not have the internal storage or memory to run games off the hardware itself. But it could maybe run a dedicated Portal UI that could support a store, it could support party systems and things like that. And I have no doubt that if this is successful and popular and people start buying them, I mean, if you're tempted, then that's probably a good example of potentially the reach that this announcement will have. Then maybe they release a subsequent model of the Portal that is a bit beefier, has Bluetooth support and things like that. So it's exciting for the future of the PlayStation Portal. For me specifically, it doesn't apply to my use case, but it's good to know that if I ever go on holiday and I want to take up 2/3 of my suitcase with a gigantic PlayStation Portal and just pay, you know, £5 or £6 to up my membership for the month, I could stream PS5 games and have my save data synced and earn trophies and all that kind of stuff. So it's exciting for the future for sure.
With Sony and Xbox both talking about handhelds now, do you think Nintendo have got the willies up them, as it were? I think it's unlikely.
Do you think Nintendo will start making a handheld?
Yeah, I think
it's about time.
Maybe we should do a handheld.
It's time for the 4DS.
Do you think they're shivering their timbers right now? No, I don't think so.
I think so.
I think Nintendo have been the kings of that particular playground for so long that you know no one threatens them.
No.
You know, even the likes
Steam
of
Decks
the Steam Deck
stuff,
is just, even though it's a handheld device, again, Nintendo is somehow still playing in their own market that no one can touch.
And the thing is with Nintendo as well, even if you take hardware out of the equation, they've always just had their own special library, special brand, really. Special brand. With their little colourful mascot characters and things, which no one else is really doing in the same way anymore. Whereas once upon a time, probably lots of different companies were doing it. So they'll always have that, really, I think, as a USP. So.
Absolutely.
We'll always have Mario.
We will. Yeah.
Mark and Lewis and Princess Toilet and all of the whole gang. Yeah. Well, there we are. It's time to move on to. Can you smell that?
Disgusting.
Flipping stinky peculiar, isn't it?
It's weird news.
It's weird news time for some weird video game news. Remember, you can submit some weird video game news to us on the relevant social media platform. Whoa, hello.
Weird video game nudes.
If you'd like to guarantee a shout out at this point in the podcast, you need to go to patreon.com/team TripleJump, support us at the appropriate tier, and become a podcast producer just like
Wednesday. It goes out on a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday.
Just like
goodness, what's happening?
Chip Thompson's thumbs.
Gabrielle Philipping.
GY Goliath.
Nexus Polaris.
Nicole Hansen.
Blake Thomas.
David Cam.
Eric Sue.
Great Giggity.
Michael Pendlebury.
Katie Garrett.
And Big Mommy Reyes.
Weird news. Peter, have you got some weird news, please?
I've got some weird news here that was sent from Lloyd Williams at LeLloydW90 on Twitter.
In English, that means the Lloyd.
It does. LeLloyd.
Stupid joke.
Does it mean the oid? LeLloyd.
Ooh, LeLloyd.
It's written by Zach Svisen on Kotaku, who says, Fortnite's Ice Spice NPC. That could be the end of the headline, and that would be weird news, I think.
Yeah.
Fortnite's Ice Spice NPC wouldn't stop tossing ice grenades, so Epic had to take them away.
What is Ice Spice, please?
Ice Spice is a female rapper. She's got like a little ginger afro and she shakes her bum.
That's all you need to know.
That's all you need
Sounds
to know.
great.
Subheading. Ahem. Clears throat. It says both of those things. Ahem. Clears throat. Wow, I guess she needed to chill out. Anyone?
No.
Last week, famous rapper Ice Spice was added to Fortnite as part of
Let
the
me show
free.
you a picture of it. You carry on.
Well, am I going to see her and go, yeah, she's famous?
No, but I just think you'd appreciate it.
Ice Spice is on my radar. I'm surprised you've not come across her in some way, shape, or form. But
I just listened to
on the internet.
AI DJ on Spotify now. DJX. Hey, it's Octavia here. Hey, it's DJ X. It's changing up the mood with the saddest song in your playlist. Yeah, she's got ginger hair.
She's got ginger afro. That's her.
Cool.
Yeah. The reason I'm aware of Ice Spice is the first I ever heard of Ice Spice is someone posted a meme online saying Ice Spice's new song be like, and then it was just someone rapping for about 8 lines about farting and poops and diapers, because apparently she like references farts and stuff quite a lot in her raps.
Man, maybe I do need to listen to it.
I don't know.
It sounds funny.
Sounds up your alley.
Sounds like really good.
Sounds
really
actually
good rapping.
genuinely funny. Farts are funny.
Last week, famous rapper Ice Spice was added to Fortnite as part of the free-to-play shooters ongoing Chapter 2 remix mini-season. If you hired her, she could help out during matches by throwing ice grenades at enemies, but she would often spam them, annoying and even hindering even the players she was supposed to be assisting. So Epic has now stepped in and taken away the digital rapper's ice bombs. Weird world we live in, huh? Ice Spice is the latest rapper to be added to Fortnite's throwback Chapter 2 remix season, which ends later this month. Eminem and Snoop Dogg were previously added this month, and like Ice Spice, if you found them on the island during a match and defeated them in combat, you could hire them to be your bodyguard/co-op buddy. However, players quickly discovered that Ice Spice loves spamming her chiller grenades, which explode and encase your feet in blocks of ice. Ice Spice. The moment an enemy player is nearby, leading to a lot of frustration. We can continue reading, but I suppose it's just going to say
just pretty much.
Ice Spice was born on the 3rd of September.
Fortnite is a free-to-play battle royale.
Yeah, you can find clips of her spamming the things online. Yeah. When her ice bombs hit you, they freeze your feet, it says once again.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth.
We'll get that word count up.
What surprises me, though, is that they identified an issue with Ice Spice spamming ice grenades, and their solution was, take them away, just take them away from it. Couldn't they have just made her not throw them as much? Or something. What does she...
Maybe they took them away while they fix it, because maybe it was becoming a problem.
So there you go. Ice Spice was apparently in Fortnite, as was Eminem and Snoop Dogg, which is just... It's still funny
Battle passes
that these things happen.
Are confusing. I went on Call of Duty's Battle Pass, and I don't understand it. Right. It's impossible to understand. There's so many buttons that you can press. Every time you do press a button, there's like... A nuclear bomb goes off, and it just shows loads of confetti and bright lights, and like says, "You're a winner." I'm like, what did I win? And it's like, it's a sticker for your gun. I'm like, okay, okay,
thanks.
But I still, they always lay these things out in the most confusing way possible. Same with seasonal content as well. It's the reason I haven't gone back to Diablo 4 for the Vessel of Hatred that's meant to be really, really good, that seasonal update, because last time I went in there and they were doing some other seasonal event, there was like it had a different menu, and then you had to create a new character or something, and I couldn't bring my old character in, and I was like, I don't understand how to play this.
Bomb went off.
Why is it not simple? Am I an idiot? Yes, but but can you not cater for people like me? Why do you make it so hard to understand what you're doing here?
It's what the kids like.
Yeah.
Apparently
the
they
kids
do.
want to see confetti and nukes. Start the Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Start
Chernobyl.
You got some weird news?
Yeah, sorry. It just was not letting me scroll down the page, but it is doing it now. It was submitted by Dave Cooper on Facebook. Actually, not yet. Just keep working on it, Dave.
Go on, Dave.
But he is a relation.
But yeah. Games Radar by Jordan Gerblick. Here's the story. 21 years later, an obscure Disney game is selling out online after the internet found out it's basically Silent Hill and Resident Evil for kids.
Oh yeah, saw this.
Piglet's big game is bigger than ever. The 2003 action-adventure game Disney's Piglet's Big Game, based on the film Piglet's Big Game, is selling out fast online after, would you believe it, people discovered it's essentially a horror game inspired by Resident Evil and Silent Hill.
That's weird.
Yeah. Piglet's Big Game didn't make as large a splash as its namesake would suggest when it launched 21 years ago, receiving mixed reviews and fading into obscurity in the decades since. However, gameplay clips are going viral right now because of a noteworthy similarity in tone and style to Silent Hill in particular.
Accept the cookies.
Sorry, it's just scroll me back to the top. Okay. Looking at clips, it's very, very obvious that the folks at Doki Denki Studio were heavily inspired and inexplicably inspired by Konami's Opus when designing Piglet's big game, which I'll remind you is a Winnie the Pooh game starring a pink pig. On a surface level, it's easy to see and hear the similarities in the fixed camera and sound design, but digging into Piglet's big game a little further as an admittedly new fan, the story about the main character overcoming his fears in a horrific dreamlike world has some clear parallels to Silent Hill, and this scene taking place in a library certainly has Resident Evil energy. Players will have direct experience with the game are calling it baby's first Resident Evil and/or Silent Hill. To really drive the likeness home, some are rightfully questioning whether the Silent Hill 2 remake directly samples a track from Piglet's big game in an apparent acknowledgement of the similarities. And then it's like an impossible to read thing because none of the stuff's loaded properly. Others, however, are desperate to buy and play the game themselves, which has caused the PlayStation 2 version of the game to virtually sell out on US eBay at the time of writing. You can get other versions of the game, but their prices are rising quickly. A quick eBay search yields 2 GameCube version, one that's asking $52.57 with $30 shipping, and another asking for an eye-watering $300.
Wow.
Shut up.
Unless you're truly desperate to play Piglet's big game on console, I'd recommend taking a look at PC copies, especially given the game's unlikely to retain its sky-high value for long.
Do you want to know something really funny?
Yeah.
I would love to.
This is hilarious. When we ranked every Disney movie from worst to best, Disney movie game from worst to best, this was the only game that was accidentally left off the list.
Interesting.
And we are rectifying that in a future ranked. That's right. Every Winnie the Pooh game. No.
Finally.
Not
every
that.
Piglet game.
But we are doing another rank list soon. And I read an entry in my script where
It is
said,
in there.
We accidentally left this off a previous ranked, so now we're ranking it here.
Piglet's big game. And the movie's called Piglet's Big Game. It's not Piglet's Big Movie.
Big
Well, it
movie.
says Piglet's big game, but I also thought it was Piglet's big.
Yeah, I think it's Piglet's Big.
He gets lost
Film
in like
or
spooky
something.
woods and stuff, doesn't he? I think. Internet's
Yeah,
good, huh?
the internet's really good right now.
Well, that was weird.
I'm going to Google it.
I've got some weird news for you. This comes from
Yeah.
the Lloyd Williams again on Facebook. And Gex at SnowyBoyYanni04 on Twitter. This is written, by Zach Sveisen at Kotaku. GTA 6 fans think the moon is telling them when the next trailer will arrive.
Oh.
A random promo image from Rockstar Games featuring the moon, as seen in Grand Theft Auto 5, has led to a wild theory that, actually, the space orb that controls our tides in that image is really a clue pointing to when the next GTA 6 trailer will drop. Last December, Rockstar Games finally released the first official trailer for the upcoming Grand Theft Auto... Last December? Oh my god.
This year's been crazy.
The first official trailer for the upcoming Grand Theft Auto 6. The trailer quickly racked up millions of views and fans dug through it over and over trying to pull out as much info as possible. One fan even, seemingly, figured out an NPC's sunscreen SPF level. Weird stuff, but not uncommon for this theory-loving fandom. And now, because of a moon in a screenshot, GTA superfans are convinced that on November the 22nd, we'll either get the next trailer or an announcement from Rockstar of when to expect. 22nd it was yesterday at the time of release.
Oh, okay.
Don't know how likely that is. On November the 1st, Rockstar Games, blah, blah, blah. But one fan on Reddit pointed out that the moon seen in the screenshot was in its waning gibbous phase. Full stop. After some additional research, the community decided that on November the 22nd, something will, and then it says in parentheses, probably happen.
Why? You get a waning gibbous once a month.
What exactly are they predicting? Well, that remains to be seen. With some suggesting a new trailer, others a release date announcement, and others a teaser for a future trailer.
Do we not see their workings?
I know that I always get in trouble for telling people to get a life. But this is you're really plucking at straws here.
Do you remember when, I think it was a previous headline of a podcast and it like a weird news podcast and weird news and we made it the title of the podcast. It was before you got here and I think they were predicting road layouts and trying to work out where the next GTA was set. And they weren't right.
Yeah.
But that's what they were going off is this road layout looks like this road layout from this part of the US.
Yeah.
If there's nothing more to that story than the moon is in this certain phase, it will have been in that phase every month since December last year. Yeah. So I don't know how they've latched onto November this this November.
Well, here's the wild part.
Oh, here's the wild part.
This isn't the first time the Rockstar community has tried to predict the future using the phases of the moon as seen in a tweet. Last year, fans did the same thing. And guess what?
It was wrong.
They ended up being right in the end.
Oh.
2 months before the first GTA 6 trailer was announced, Rockstar shared an image with the moon in it, with the phase pictured arriving on December the 1st. And weeks later, on December 1st, Rockstar teased the December 5th release date for the first GTA 6 trailer.
So this image has been tweeted by Rockstar.
Yeah, but
recently.
It's an update. There it is. It's an update for GTA 5. Oh, for
okay,
God's
well
sake,
that would
Elon.
at least, that would nail down a month. I just couldn't work out how they've picked this month since December last
Look
year.
at that waning gibbous.
There it is, a waning gibbous.
Does that wane your gibbous?
It
doesn't
does.
wane my gibbous.
At least, stayed out of trouble.
GTA likes the moon.
Wayne, a man called Wayne Gibbous.
Wayne-
No, what? No, I'm just saying, if you're so focused on the moon thing, at least they're staying out of trouble. You know, they're all tweeting and yapping about this.
Yeah.
At least that they're,
I like to believe
hanging out inside.
There's a man called Wayne Gibbous.
Wayne Gibbous.
And he's thrilled.
GTA 3 had if you shot the moon with a sniper rifle, it would change size. So maybe they've, since then, that's always been how they send their messages.
Through the stars.
I would like to let you know that article was actually wrong that I read out, because it's called Piglet's Big Game, but it is actually based on the movie Piglet's Big Movie.
Correct.
So
Smashed it.
So
get corrected.
actually wrong.
Kotaku.
Games Radar.
Games Radar.
So
There we are. That was weird news. So I suppose it's now time for the big discussion. Oh! It's big discussion time. Time for the big video game discussion. This week it comes courtesy of Stephen Skodez, who says, "Hi, Bap.
Hello.
Hi, sorry, I was yawning.
The nominees for GOTY have been announced for the Game Awards, along with many other categories. What do you guys think about the nominees? Personally, my vote goes to Metaphor ReFantasio. Been playing it so much at the time of writing. Although it does play similarly to Persona and Shin Megami Tensei, it adds so many unique elements that makes this game stand out on its own." Thank you, Stephen. So we're not going to run through all the categories. We are going to run through the nominees for Game of the Year and also the big hubbub that has occurred since these nominees were announced.
Well, actually, just before the nominees were announced.
Yeah,
it started.
Well, yes.
Conversation. It happened preemptively because they
certainly did.
were
They
trying
knew.
to they were covering their asses before it even happened.
They sort of showed their cards a little early. Should we take one each? Peter, do you want to start? The first nominee for Game of the Year is...
First nominee is Astrobot by Team Asobi and Sony Interactive Entertainment.
Oh, that's what that stands for. That makes complete sense. Then
What did you think?
I didn't know. I was just gonna say SIE. No, nobody asked me.
See.
Then Balatro by Local Funk and Playstack.
Black Myth Wukong by Game Science.
Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, that complete video game from Software and Bandai Namco.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth by Square Enix.
And Metaphor ReFantasio by Studio Zero /Atlas/Sega. This write-up comes from Push Square and Robert Ramsey. I know that one. Personal bias incoming. He's a great writer. Love Robert. In case you missed it, Elden Ring expansion Shadow of the Erdtree has been officially nominated for Game of the Year at next month's The Game Awards 2024. And guess what? The DLC's inclusion has sparked a substantial backlash across social media, Reddit, and even the comments sections of sites just like Push Square. The Game Awards host and organizer Jeff Keighley is taking the criticism face on via Twitter, where he's asking people for their thoughts on the nominees and what the biggest surprise is. The replies are exactly what you'd expect, with some of the more popular posts garnering just as much engagement as Jeff's own conversation starter. The overwhelming argument is that DLC simply shouldn't be up for an award like Game of the Year, with an emphasis on game. But it gets worse. Suspicions were raised over the weekend when an update to the Game Awards official website revealed that DLC can indeed be nominated for Game of the Year. The timing of this update immediately led to concerns regarding the whole process. Lo and behold, just days after the update, Shadow of the Erdtree is nominated for the ultimate prize, as if Jeff and the gang had anticipated the potential backlash. Now, it should be noted that this particular Game of the Year award is decided by critics, and according to the Game Awards website, DLC has always been eligible for Game of the Year, if it garners enough support from said critics. So, it's assumed that Shadow of the Erdtree is simply that well regarded by gaming publications. Its quality apparently warrants a place alongside the likes of Astrobot, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Black Myth, Wukong, Metaphor, Refantasia, and Balatro. To be fair, the expansion commands a thoroughly impressive score of 94% on Metacritic, but many would argue that's not the point, ourselves included, for what it's worth. So, we had, what was it, the Cyberpunk expansion called?
Phantom Liberty. I'm just Googling what it was nominated for last year.
But that raised some eyebrows, I remember, last year.
But it was nominated for awards, things like ongoing game and like sound design and narrative, which I'm almost like fine with, given that it's a DLC. But I think Game of the Year is the problem here. Like that is the reason people are so confused about it. We talked last year about how much Liberty City was nominated and how it didn't feel
Phantom Liberty,
sorry. It's Phantom Liberty was nominated and how it didn't feel like it should be. But
the issue that they've got is that they don't have, as far as I'm aware, they don't have a DLC of the year or best DLC category, do they?
And that's the obvious answer, isn't
it? But you know, there's not always going to... Well, one argument might be there's not always going to be loads and loads of, or, enough great ones, DLC to fill the category. But frankly, just nominate 5 okay DLCs year on year.
Put seasonal updates in.
Yeah.
There are enough, like Fortnite's mini season. If people like Ice Spice that much, or it gets enough critical praise, then stick Fortnite season 2 mini thing in there.
And if Shadow of the Erdtree is the only one that happens to be, the standout winner, well then good for them. But Elden Ring has had its moment as, various people gave it their Game of the Year vote, and that's great. But I personally, I think this isn't. I don't think this is quite right.
My issue with it is that if it can't be, you can't play Shadow of the Erdtree without owning Elden Ring. Therefore, it is not a game on its own accord. It is an expansion of a game, which is not and should not count as game, which is what they say in the Push Square article. Because if you can't just solely own that one thing, then it should not be allowed to be considered as a standalone game on its own.
And if you're going to vote for it as Game of the Year, if you look at that and think, I had the most fun with Shadow of the Erdtree, it's like, well, how much of that is just because you like the game mechanics of Elden Ring? Like, is it that expansion that made you have a great time? Was it, that specific story or some of the boss fights that you did? There'd be more of an argument towards that. If specific content from that expansion is what you enjoyed, then okay, I'm closer to accepting your argument. But it's underpinned. The foundation of that DLC is, as you were saying, Ashton, you can't play it without owning Elden Ring. And so are you actually just enjoying Elden Ring broadly? And you happen to be playing some of the expansion content, but you're just enjoying that game as it is.
Yeah.
For me, I think there is just there's no level of semantics or nitpicking but what about this that goes beyond you cannot play it without a base game. Like Shadow of the Erdtree cannot be launched in isolation and therefore is not a game. Doesn't matter how bloody good it is and how much people love it. It's not a game in and of itself. And that, for me, is where the debate ends. I know some people, like some critics, many critics clearly thought it warranted inclusion. But like, I find it an indefensible position. It's not something that I'm going to lose sleep over, because ultimately we all always walk away from the Game Awards with a sour taste in our mouth, because it's not really an awards show that can be taken seriously as an award show. It's a big showcase of exciting new trailers and things like that. The awards are secondary; they always have been, and the winners, great for them, obviously. But it doesn't have the level of prestige that other award shows have, and with good reason. And there are, while these are picked by critics, it is ultimately Big Jeff's showcase where he can do what he wants and he gets final say in things.
Yeah.
And they've had many, many big money partnerships with Elden Ring in the past. I'm not saying that there was money involved in this decision, but I am saying that if Jeff did get a say, he'd probably want to keep his mates over at From Software and Bandai and so on happy. And that's maybe why it's in there. It's now, however, up for public vote.
Yeah.
And there's a chance that the Elden heads, what would you call them, Peter?
Ring heads.
There's a good chance that the ring heads might just appear en masse to support the thing that they enjoy, even if they disagree with its inclusion.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, this doesn't fly. I don't know why there's not an expansion DLC.
No. So
category.
I was just checking last year's nominees for the Game Awards, and Phantom Liberty was not nominated for Game of the Year. It was nominated for narrative. And I think that's it. Like, Cyberpunk was nominated for ongoing game, which we said was rubbish and shouldn't be allowed to win because it's not ongoing if you have to keep fixing it for so long.
Yeah, it wasn't finished.
But yeah, so they, it was nominated for narrative, but and people were nominated for performance, Idris Elba specifically. Mm-hmm. But like, it's not being suggested as it's a game on its own because you can't play it without owning Cyberpunk.
It had its chance. That sounds like you've had your chance to you blew it.
You already won a Game of the Year awards.
They had an opportunity last year and they did very well from it across various publications in terms of Game of the Year nominations and actual winning the award. And so for them to come along now, and I mean it's not their choice, but for that to now be potentially going to take away that opportunity from someone else. I think that, to me, that's the thing that's most irritating. It's not just that I agree it ought not to be eligible because it's not a game. It's the fact that they've already done it once, and there are other games there that deserve that opportunity to win Game of the Year this year that aren't going to be nominated in future years for Game of the Year, even if they release expansion packs, probably. So, I do think it's taking an opportunity away from another game, given that Elden Ring has already been celebrated so much. And just, nominate it for narrative or visuals or ongoing game or make a DLC character. You could nominate Shadow of the Erdtree DLC in lots of other categories and still give it lots of recognition and praise. But
I wonder if part of this issue stems from the fact that nowadays you'll get full reviews, including a Metacritic score and everything for DLC that comes out, because I don't remember really before the last few years noticing that DLCs were getting full reviews and
I think they have, to be fair. Big
but
expansions I think have always had, but they've never been nominated for Game of the Year before.
No, that's fair. But I mean, you could say that if you say that you're only enjoying Shadow of the Erdtree because you enjoyed the mechanics and stuff of Elden Ring, then I guess you could say something like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth uses a lot of similar mechanics and you only enjoy that one because you've played the first one, but at least it's a completely separate game.
Yeah.
Whereas this is an expansion and in summary, we agree with the majority that this should not have been allowed to be.
They've just nominated Elden Ring for potentially a second Game of the Year win, which isn't
if they win, I will be annoyed.
That would be annoying. And speaking of which, what do you think of each of these games' chances of winning?
Ooh.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know either, really.
I could see it going Black Myth Wukong's way.
You think?
I think because it's a public vote.
It was so critically acclaimed.
It's not even that it was critically acclaimed. A lot of people I know who've tried it aren't that arsed. It is massive in China.
Yeah.
Absolutely astronomically successful in China. And if even a fraction of that audience vote, it's done. There's no chance anything else will win. I'd love Astrobot to win.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that, seeing as we had confirmation recently that game has sold over 1 million copies, which is brilliant, I don't think it has the mainstream pull to get many votes.
Yeah, being an exclusive immediately slashes the potential audience who can be voting for it.
I personally would absolutely love to see Balatro win.
That would be cool.
I would love to see that one guy who made the game come up on stage beating all of these other games just to be like, lol, can't believe it. Because like when he saw how many times he was nominated, including for Game of the Year, his Twitter, he was just like, this is crazy, guys. This is crazy. But like, I would love to see, he's like the definition of an underdog.
I mean, it has got 100% positive reviews from critics and players. I think there's no one has ever given it a bad review, a bad critical review.
Yeah. So I would love to see him and Balatro in, but I don't know if he'll do it. But what do you think about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? Do you think they're in with a shot?
I think it's a good game that people enjoyed. For me, the longer it's been since I played it, the less I think about it. It really didn't impact me the way that Part 1 did. And that's a shame. At some point, I need to play through it again and not do all the side stuff and just mainline the story and experience that game probably the way it should have been made. I don't know. I don't think, again, it's an exclusive situation. And I just don't think it's not a Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I think even within the exclusive world of PlayStation, which has, you got like 60 million PS5 players or whatever, I don't think many of them percentage-wise will have played it.
Yeah.
And that also goes, even though it's not an exclusive for Metaphor, I think that even though it's an outstanding game, I think the audience is potentially just too niche for the mainstream, which is why I think it's probably down to Black Myth or Elden Ring, potentially.
Elden Ring's going to win, isn't it? That's
could well do.
It's now a popularity contest. It's no longer based on merit once it goes to a public vote.
The one other bit of kind of not even controversy. I saw some discussion online about people moaning that Persona 3, what's it called?
Reload.
Reload was not nominated for Game of the Year,
right?
And they were saying, it's so annoying that JRPGs don't get the credit that they deserve.
There's two.
Really?
Yeah, and that was the response. It's like, hello, have you seen?
Three?
Well, yeah, I suppose there are three in a sense, but yeah, they were saying. I think you'll find that Metaphor and Final Fantasy being there kind of proves that Persona 3 hasn't been left out because Jeff doesn't understand. They were saying Jeff as well, not like the board of critics who were But Jeff clearly doesn't understand JRPGs and like what they mean and how what their merits are. It's like, what are you talking about? Look at that list of nominees for Game of the Year. So yeah, it wasn't a huge debate that was going on because I think most people were just shutting down those who were saying that. But
I feel like the one thing I have realized from like all of the nominations that have come out is that actually there wasn't that many really good games that came out this year. Like the fact that nothing beat Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree out to get that spot on the list, and the fact that a game like Balatro is in the top 6 Game of the Year. I think that is really telling of the year we've had in terms of games that have come out. Because you were saying you've only played Astrobot. I've played Astrobot and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. You've given Metaphor ReFantazio a little go.
Demo of Metaphor.
Yeah, and I just feel like I've been feeling like this a little bit this year anyway when it comes to figuring out our games of the year.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to put in my top 5 games of the year. I have like one that I'm like for sure, and then a few where I'm kind of like...
It's definitely going to be one of those years where you just have to include all 5 of the games that you played.
5 and 4 are going to be like, I played it, it was fine.
Yeah, it's a game I finished.
Yeah. I think that it's been very telling seeing all the nominees coming out this year that I'm like, man, this year's been a bit of a stinker. I mean, we've had some good ones, but like, it feels like for every good game, there's been at least...
Concord.
Yeah, there's been a Concord,
You look at that and it's like, there's not really any one game on there that just has just completely wide mass appeal. I mean, I would argue maybe the closest could have been Astrobot, if not for the fact that it was locked onto Sony hardware. If that had been a multi-platform thing that anyone could have had access to, I think it probably has enough appeal that lots of kinds of gamer would enjoy that. Whereas, Black Myth Wukong had the numbers, but most of them were in China. And then, I agree that things like Final Fantasy VII and Metaphor, they've got their huge proponents, but it's still kind of niche and it's going to appeal to only certain people.
Did Remake win? Final Fantasy VII Remake. Did that win?
I don't think so. What was that, 2020?
I
think It Takes Two, if that came out that year.
Yeah, you might.
Yeah, I think It Takes Two did.
It will have been nominated, I would have thought. I'm surprised there's no Helldivers 2 on here, to be honest. That's another huge game. I know they've sort of, Sony tried to muck it all up, and it's not as popular now, understandably, as it was when it came out. But that was huge and really popular. Sort of revolutionized the way a live service game could be done in a lot of ways, in that it's not predatory. And
I assume maybe it might be nominated for some kind of, surely
multiplayer
or live service.
If it's not nominated for anything, I'd be very surprised. But I am somewhat surprised that it's not in the top 6 there.
Yeah,
does make you wonder who these critics are, who they're polling, because there are some. I don't think any of these games don't deserve to be on
Part 2
here.
beat it out. It was nominated for Game of the Year, but it was 2020. But it was Last of Us Part 2 that won.
Oh, was it that one that year?
Yeah.
Okay.
The original release of The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, The Last of Us Part 2 won a lot of awards that year.
Yeah, when is the Game Awards again? Is it December
the 12th?
December the 12th. So we will be streaming our live reactions to that. That is the annual very, very late night / early morning stream for us, where we slowly lose our minds over the course of 3 hours.
I'm going to watch a pantomime that night.
Are you? You can stay up.
And then I'm going to stay up and come straight from.
So I think it starts at 1 a.m. UK time. So please tune in with us on YouTube. Support us in any way you can, because we will be going absolutely bonkers. I know last time we had like a whole stack of Tat chocolate still in the office, and we were slowly eating that to keep ourselves awake. But yeah, it's going to be crazy. You're going to want to tune in and watch it with us, even if the awards ultimately don't mean much.
Don't matter.
There will be some absolute delirium happening, and lots of game announcements.
It's always so fun.
Yeah, it'll be a laugh. So do join us. Anything else you guys want to say about the Game Awards 2024?
No, I have my fingers crossed for some of the indie games that have been nominated for the kind of smaller awards. But I did my vote yesterday. I went through all 29 categories.
Oh, nice.
There was a few I did not know. I just picked at random. Sports game, for example, just picked at random. Esports player.
Is there not an option to say I abstain?
You can, but I would just
spoil your ballot by scribbling all over the screen.
Yeah,
just
putting
Concord
faces
on every single.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for listening / watching, everybody. We appreciate you. There's a few places around the internet you can find us. Peter's going to tell you a couple of them right now.
You can find us at youtube.com and twitch.tv /Team TripleJump. YouTube is, of course, the home of our videos, but you can find us on both streaming, mostly on Twitch, though. And if you've got an Amazon Prime subscription, part of that bundle includes a Twitch sub at no extra cost, so you can redeem that against us and get all the benefits of being a subscriber.
We're on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Blue Sky. All of which we're at Team TripleJump, so come say hello if you fancy it.
Or the Blue Sky equivalent of at Team TripleJump.
Yes, and patreon.com /Team TripleJump if you'd like to support us.
TripleJ.mup is our website. That's where you can find links to everything that we're doing. And why not leave a 5-star review on your platform of choice? It helps something to do with Al Gore's rhythms, and we really, really, really bloody appreciate it. I think we've run out of things now that are coming up on certain dates that we have to promote. We did CBBC, we did Tat Appeal, we did SMTJ Live. We've managed to get through it all. Yeah. There's nothing pressing, but we will see you on the 12th for the Game Awards. And we look forward to sharing that experience with you, losing our minds together. Brilliant. Just enough time for the sponsor, please, Peter.
Oh, I hate all the brain rot. Hawker Tour Starter Chernobyl.
Very good.
Excellent.
Thank you, Peter.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.